Hi, everyone. Welcome to my very first podcast interview. I am so excited because I have Salila here with me. Salila, as many of you probably may be knowing, is an Ayurvedic educator, speaker, and practitioner. And she comes from a lineage of Ayurveda. It runs in her blood, it is in her family line. And so she carries this ancient wisdom with her very deeply. I connected to her immediately upon stumbling upon her content because of just the way she speaks. I find it very approachable for someone coming from the younger generation. She has one foot in Cali and one foot in Kerala. So I feel she has a unique perspective to offer, having spent time in the US and in India. So, without further ado, welcome, Salila. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, Manisha. Such a pleasure to be your first guest.
I want to kind of talk about a specific topic, Salila, and I think there's so much content already about Ayurveda. So, for people who just want that general knowledge, there's so much that they can find with you. And so, rather than starting there, I want to start on the topic of fertility.
Mm.
So I know that it can be quite personal and strong for many women, but that is part of the reason why I want to speak about it with you. As a young kid, as a young girl, I grew up believing that we can just have babies like this, that it's the
Yep.
most natural thing for our species. But as I got older and as I've had more conversations with women who are planning to conceive or have had struggling conceiving, I found that it is quite difficult. And
Mm.
not for all, but so many women have been dealing with infertility issues, PCOD, PCOS, and honestly, I'm just wondering why. Like,
Mhm.
I thought this was what we were meant to do. So, why is this happening? Do you have any insights on what's going on with our bodies?
Yeah, fertility is a big topic. Fertility is something that is very close to um, our substance as a woman. Like a lot of us assume that I'm a woman, I have regular periods, therefore I'm fertile. It also ties into our desirability, right? We want to feel like we are juicy and we are fertile, so we are therefore more desirable. And the way our physical structure is, the ratio of the hip and the waist, all that, the amount of hair we have, the quality of skin we have, if our eyes are bright, if we have a well curved body, then these are all signs of fertility. And our sense of fertility as a society, as a culture, is also based in our sense of beauty. So, a fertile woman is more beautiful. So, when a woman discovers in her late 20s, 30s, 40s, she's not as fertile as she thought she was, this can really hit our sense of self worth and our sense of feeling like I'm a desirable woman, I'm beautiful. It can affect that. The reason why we are not fertile, even though we may look fertile because we figured out the external appearance, right, is because fertility comes from the quality of having optimal kapha energies in the body. So, kapha energies are the energies that provide structure, sustenance, and maintain the physical form. When our kapha energies are lower, when hydration is lower, when the juice is drying up, that's when we have challenges with fertility. And in the modern world, how are we drying up our juices? Through stress. Stress is a very drying, heating function on the physical form, on the physiology, on the mental, emotional, psychic level. Stress is very drying. It makes us literally dry. The more stressed we are, the more we experience. Our skin is drying, hair is drying, mouth is drying. When we have stress, let's say we were out in public, we had to speak to 1,000 people, and suddenly we have stress. What happens? We start drying up, the mouth starts drying, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Starts blinking a lot, the body starts to like have a lot of twitches, and our body starts to move a lot. There's nervous energy. So we connect nervousness with nerves, and nerves is what is maintained by vata energy. When the vata kicks up, we are having an effect on our nerves. Our nerves literally are losing their hydration, and they are losing the ability to conduct so well. And when they start drying up, the finer, subtler functions of fertility, of reproduction, all that starts to go haywire. So, if you notice, if you have a really stressful month at work, if you notice the months where you have a lot of projects and you have to stay up late and work, your periods will have issues that month. So, that itself is feedback to us on a monthly basis that if I've had a lot of stress, my periods are affected. If I'm going to have a long stretch of 5 to 10 years where my period is affected month after month after month, the result is challenges with fertility. Does that make sense?
It's the one thing that's new is that fertility is directly associated with kapha.
Mhm.
So, what can we do to maybe balance out kapha in our bodies?
So, maintaining the balance of kapha is important. When kapha goes out of balance, that's when we see obesity, high BMI, acidity, acid reflux. All that happens. In the gut, that'll happen. Under the skin, we'll develop a lot of subcutaneous fat, cellulite, uh, naturally a lot of inflammation, blockage of joint aches, swelling of the body here and there, and just lethargy and fatigue. All this is going to happen for a lot of us, mainly because of stress, because of poor diet and lifestyle choices, because of toxic environments we are in. We may be eating well, we may be taking good care of ourselves, but we are in an office atmosphere where we are not valued and respected. We have mental stress, emotional stress, right? We're going through care for an elder person, we are going through a stressful situation in our partnership. One of the most important reasons Ayurveda says will restore fertility is Saumanasya. Saumanasya meaning a good mind, a good heart. I literally have a client who for 10 years believed she could not get pregnant. She thought her body would not get pregnant. She was connecting with her spouse, very loving couple, but because she was in an atmosphere that drained her mentally, she did not get pregnant. As soon as she distanced herself from some toxic relationships and friendships and started to pray in the mornings and started to wake up in Brahma Muhurta, which is earlier than the sunrise time. She was more in her kapha energy. She optimized her kapha energy and immediately she got pregnant. So that's how powerful restoring kapha is. So we're restoring kapha, we are restoring calm, we are restoring hydration, we are restoring health, making good choices. All these will add up into the larger picture of achieving our fertility.
So, decreasing stress, I'm sure, obviously, cutting any toxic ties,
Mhm,
as hard as that may be, things like
mhm.
yoga, meditation, I'm sure will help.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
calming down. K for kapha, calming. I like to create these like mnemonics so we remember. Calm, kapha. So, not going for that intense workout, or that, I don't even remember the names of the workouts now, where you just like kick your butt. That's not
yeah,
the kind of workout you should be doing when you're wanting to get, if you're like a regular office going executive type of woman who's like go go go, you should be doing the opposite. You should be balancing yin yoga, more deep breathing, more anuloma viloma, more brahmari, that kind of pranayamas, less of the bhastrikas and the kapalabhatis.
got
So
it.
less intense, more calming, more settling. Based on Ayurveda says that there are four important aspects of fertility. So it's like if fertility is a table, it's standing on four legs. The kshetra, the woman's womb, has to be optimally healthy. So periods have to be regular, womb has to be healthy, it has to be cleansed periodically. Ambu, the nourishing liquid, or the plasma, the blood that's feeding into the kshetra, that has to be of the best quality. The ovum, the sperm has to be optimal quality. So the man has to get everything checked out. Ritu are periods. When we have periods, we say she's Ritumati. She's in that period of fertility, right? It's going to come right after the period. Even the time of the year. If you try and get pregnant during summers or rains when vata is high and you already have a high vata in your body, you're not going to succeed. So you try and get pregnant during spring when kapha is high, which is why all animals naturally have babies in spring. Bunnies have babies in spring because it's the fertile time of the year.
Oh,
When
wow.
our fertility is strong in winters, when we are physically strong, our health is strong, when we are able to have more stamina to connect, we're going to be more fertile. Isn't this
Interesting.
fascinating?
Extremely, I never connected those dots. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering if other species of animals also dealt with infertility. Do you know?
I think like animals live to their fullest potential. Like
Right.
whatever food, air, breathe, prana, life force, oxygen, and sunlight, water, they're going to use all this optimally. But for us, because we have a mind, we are damned because of our mind. Even though we may be having all this available to us readily, we're not going to nourish ourselves intelligently. We're not going to grow to our full potential because our mind gives us the choice. And this is the divine's love towards us, that we have the power of choice, that we may be sitting next to this cup full of nourishing liquid and I have the choice to say no, I'm going to go thirsty, I'm not going to feed my.
That's why I was trying to kind of make sense of all of this. We are animals at the end of the day. We do have the same ability to take the best from what we are given by the divine.
Mm,
And so, why? I mean, it just like something wasn't adding up. And I guess the only thing is, like you said, our mind, the
mhm.
ability to use our rational mind, and stress. Stress has never ever been higher than it is now. And
Absolutely.
probably like cellular stress as well, right? From environmental toxins and things like that. Can you speak
Yeah.
on environment and water and food? I don't think we have the utmost control over those things, but
Right.
are there any choices we can make in regards to those factors that might
Yeah.
help us?
I'm so glad you brought that up because we live in a world where everything is polluted. There's microplastics, there's heavy metals, there's all kind of radiation from our phone. We literally like have our phones in our laps constantly and we're like sending all these electromagnetic signals into our body. We don't know how that is affecting us. The best way to restore fertility is by periodic cleansing. So cleansing every 3 months, 4 months. If we wanted to do a thorough panchakarma, then going to an going to a hospital, a facility, getting checked in, spending 21 days there, just totally going into our centers, cleansing ourselves of all these toxicities that we have collected over the year. If we were cleansing at home, then you work with somebody like me, a practitioner who will guide you through a proper cleanse at home. You can do that. But if a couple has been trying for over a year and they are not successful, I would ask them to check into a facility, go to an Ayurveda Panchakarma center, and reach out to me. I'm happy to recommend you. Once you're there, once you're away from all your relations, which kind of, we're not, we can't really say that, oh, mom has been, really toxic. We don't use words like that. We just say, oh, mom's just funny. She's just, or dad's just has this quirk. He does this weird stuff, right? We never
Mm.
see them that way. But when we are away from all of them and their influences, I literally had a client who was sick in her in-laws' place. She was very, very closely connected to them. They were in her business, she was in their business, very closely connected. But she had horrible, horrible chronic constipation, and it just would not resolve. And then I said, you know what, my dear, you need to check into an Ayurveda facility. She checks into the Ayurveda facility. They're all calling her every day, and I tell her, you need to cut them off, focus completely on yourself. Guess what happens the third or the fourth day after she's like said bye to everybody?
No way.
She gets better. She's back to normal. She's like, I've never felt this healthy. And
Mm,
then she's like celebrating, and we're like, woohoo, woohoo. And then she goes back, and guess what happens?
comes back.
Back to exactly. That's how powerful our environment is. Now, even our yogis will say Sangati, Sangat. The Sangat we keep is what influences us the most.
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't even realize the energies that we're surrounding ourselves with. They might not feel toxic, but an occasional break would definitely help for sure.
Mhm. Yes.
So, a panchakarma is one thing that you're recommending every 3 months.
Yes. Every
Okay.
1 year, if you do it in a facility where you are working with a physician and you're doing a very thorough cleanse of the body, that will remove even up to like 50% of pesticides if they're on a cellular level, if we have toxicity, that will
Okay.
remove all that. You lose weight, especially clients who have hormonal issues like hypothyroid, PCOS, PCOD, um, pre-diabetes, insulin resistance. Just losing a little bit of even 5 to 10% weight makes them fertile.
Hmm.
So, very important to look at our diet, to drop gluten, to drop dairy, because these are all from where we accumulate a lot of toxins in our gut. This will be important for somebody who is higher BMI, a little overweight. But if somebody is skinny and they are feeling challenged, then we have to look at nourishing therapies for them. We
Hmm.
have to remove the toxins from their body without depleting the body. So we
Right.
do a different kind of protocol for that because we need to keep that, the body has to stay nice and strong. Because when we
Okay.
deplete the body, it's further stress, further infertility.
Exactly. Yeah. And you have a concierge, a program, right, where you can recommend these programs to people who are looking for them?
Absolutely. So I will guide them through a cleanse myself if they are not able to go because people have jobs, they have children. You can't just drop everything and then go to a center for 21 days, right? But if you can do that, nothing like it. But if you cannot, then I help you. I guide you. I believe I have one of the strongest panchakarmas that I can guide through in a home situation. I go for a panchakarma every year. The only 2 years I could not go was when we had the pandemic. We were all in lockdown. So I've been doing this from 2015. Every year I do a panchakarma for my health. That makes me
Amazing.
very, naughty as well because I don't take good care of myself throughout the year then because I
Oh,
know that I'm going to go do my cleanup at the
yeah.
panchakarma center.
Yeah, we went to a naturopathic program, something similar to this, where there were so many people from our city who came right after the holidays, and they come
Mhm.
every year, so they party it up, and then they go.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It spoils you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one thing, and then so we have balancing kapha, we have routinely cleanses,
Mhm.
and anything else.
Saumanasya, making sure that our mind is calm. So, doing the pranayamas, the meditations, making sure we are staying away from people who don't make us feel happy. Sometimes, clients will tell me, I have great friends. And I say, okay, how was your last get together? And then they'll be like, I don't know. I came back and I felt like nothing. I was like, there were moments when I was like, I was not interested. I was like, do you really want to relook at your friendships? Because there are no neutral relationships. A relationship is either supportive and nourishing or depleting and drying out. There are no neutral relationships. So there are no
Wow,
girlfriends we just hang out with. They're either draining energy from us or they are giving us energy.
that is
When
a
somebody gives us
huge.
energy, we come out of that conversation feeling excited about life, feeling happy, feeling settled, feeling heard, feeling witnessed, feeling like I got a warm. Maybe people who hug us very warmly, but we come off that conversation feeling like, disturbed, a little bit like I'm not feeling myself. I need something to now sit and drink a cup of tea and process this. We are having those kind of interactions, which is okay. There are friendships are give and receive. Sometimes we give, sometimes we receive, but we need to have a good ratio of like every five negative interaction. Every one negative interaction, we should have a positive interaction. One negative interaction, five positive interactions to fill this up. What we are doing is five negative interactions, one positive interaction, which is probably the spouse who on whom we like come and unload. Like, I had such a bad day. Now listen to me.
Yeah. You.
Yeah, so consciously creating and cultivating a joyful atmosphere in the bedroom with the spouse. So I would say have water features. Keep a pet if that brings out that joy in the family. Connect with the spouse. Don't become too familiar with the spouse. In the olden times, husbands and wives would sleep separately and they would
Oh,
send each other messages. They would give each other 3 days' notice. So if I wanted to connect with my partner, I would send him a message 3 days in advance, and he would have 3 days to respond. And in those 3 days, when he responds, I'll be getting ready, the spouse will be getting ready, we'd be excited about meeting each other. And then
mhm.
we would meet each other in a room in our home that is exclusively just for connecting, intimacy, making love.
Oh
So
my
that
God.
space remains as a sacred space, and we would pray before we make love. We would have things ready to eat once we are depleted. We would take a bath, it would have water features, it would have animals, birds, it would be through a garden. We would wear perfumes and flowers. So it would be like a celebration. But what do we do now? It's like timeline clock is ticking. Today is the day I'm ovulating, right?
Yeah,
Stress,
yeah.
stress,
Mm.
right? Yeah.
And everything you said sounds like a fantasy, like almost too
We
good
can
to be
create
true.
it.
But yeah, yeah.
We can take a leaf from it. We can make promises to each other and say, look, if I bring such and such conversations to you around this time when I'm fertile, please remind me of why this
Mhm,
is important, because you're very mindfully and intentionally catching a soul from the other world and bringing it into your body.
mhm.
That soul, if we want a high level soul, the body has to be at a high level place.
Oh my gosh, I love that. If we want a high level soul, our body should be in a high level place. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
so true. That rings like so deeply in my heart. And I think it's so simple, but like so deeply forgotten.
Yeah.
So that actually is a great segue because something I also wanted to talk to you about was what is Ayurveda's take on the metaphysical aspect of bringing a life into the world?
The way Ayurveda looks at it is both mom and dad have to be prayerful and intentional. You have to pray to your Kula Devatas. You have to
Mm,
ask their help. You have to pray to the Pitras, the ancestors, ask
mm,
their help in drawing this soul. We literally pray before we make love and we
mm,
ask the gods to bless us. We have an altar in the bedroom. And the soul itself, this is part yogic, part Ayurvedic. The soul itself has a will. So, if a soul is strong willed and it knows that it needs a certain experience in the world, it will choose the mother and the father. It will create attraction between the mother and the father. And
mm.
that soul will influence its own path into the world. And
Wow.
Paramahansa Yogananda talks about this, that when the mother and the father are connecting, the souls are like fish ready to come out of a pool. You see, like those koi fish all collecting to come out through this little crevice or crack, and then only one makes out. The one who
Oh.
has the highest will, that it needs this mother and this father to experience its life on planet Earth, that soul will come through. Around the sixth week is when the soul enters into the body. Even though the soul is waiting and knows that these are my parents, around the sixth week, it completely comes into the body. So while the mother and the father have conceived, the soul knows this is my parents, but it will fully enter the womb only at the sixth week mark.
Wow.
So I tell my clients 4 to 6 weeks, you have to absolutely be in prayer. You have to do your sadhana every day. Every day you have to meditate upon the soul and you have to call in qualities. This is all part of Garbha Sanskara, where you are
Mm,
like literally reaffirming the qualities of the baby. You're listening to meditations and you're saying, this is the kind of soul I want in my body. I want to be my child. Because a lot of us will have very similar pregnancy experiences as our mom. So if our mom had challenges, maybe she doesn't remember, but having a good conversation with mom will be helpful. Like, what did she do? What helped her get pregnant?
okay.
Because right, we were a little seed in our grandmother's womb.
Mhm.
And now we are here. And when we have the baby, our baby is going to have the seed of her grandchild. The generations are connected. So there has to
Mm-hmm.
be an intergenerational conversation as well
Mm.
to help us come into our full fertility as very conscious woman that I'm choosing this step very consciously.
Right. It's interesting because it's such an unconscious process for so many women. So
Mhm.
many people conceive by accident, after a party, or so many weird situations where conception happens without any thought. And then
Yeah.
there are cases where women really desperately want to conceive and try to take whatever actions they can, but
Mhm.
yet something somewhere. So it's interesting, and I wonder the role of the divine in all of this and how this decision is ultimately being made. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
really
First is to
beautiful.
believe. First is to believe you are fertile. Then is to be happy. And then take care of whatever little issues are there. If you have your periods within 28-day cycles, husband is healthy. I had a client who came into one of my fertility programs, and I taught them how to find out whether the sperm was healthy or not. And she had gone through years of struggle thinking that it was her body, that, oh, I have
Mhm.
vitamin deficiency. So she was like a hamster on a wheel. She was trying to keep up and trying to do all these things to make her body healthy because she always felt it was her fault. And then she did the test I told her to do, told the whole group to do. And then she was like, Salila, it's my husband. It's not me.
What is that test? Can you share?
Yeah, so it's a very simple test. So you
Okay.
take sperm, sperm has to disperse very quickly. There's a
Okay.
way to look at sperm that it has to be a certain, it has to be like pearly white. And then you put a drop of sperm in filtered water in a cup of like clear glass of water. It has to disperse very quickly.
Okay.
That's the sperm's quality. Good
Okay.
sperm will disperse very quickly. But if sperm has some motility issues, it will clump, it will not disperse.
Okay.
So that would mean that, yeah, it's
Right.
there's some issue there. The husband
Okay.
needs to do some cleansing.
So for men and women,
Mm.
occasional cleansing is mandatory, correct?
Absolutely essential. Yes.
Okay.
Especially if you're living in the modern world, in a cosmopolitan city, going to work every day in traffic, absolutely you have to cleanse. Which is
Yeah.
why my flagship programs are about cleansing because I've moved away from consulting and giving like remedies for health issues. I'm more into now cleansing because I'm like, why bother when we can just cleanse and clear up everything and restore the energies?
Ah, okay. I had a friend who I took to an Ayurvedic doctor,
Mhm.
and she is very much into Western medicine. And she came back saying, they all say the same thing. They just want me to do a detox, and they give me
Right.
some medicines to detox my body. But clearly, what you're saying is that is one of the most integral parts of eventually reaching pristine health, right?
Yeah, yeah. If we have a dirty house, we're not going to invite guests into that dirty house. We have to clean the house. And we've all, if you remember, I don't know, your grandparents, your great grandparents, I don't know if you've spent time with them. All of them did seasonal cleansing. We would do vratas, we would do vrat, we would fast every 15 days. In the before the rains, we would take castor oil and cleanse our body. In fall, during Navratras, we would have cleansing rituals. We don't do any of that. We just eat, eat,
Mm.
eat. We just keep fill, fill, fill. Our body has a cleansing mechanism, by elimination, by sweating, by pooping, by peeing, our body eliminates. But the quality of the food is so deteriorated. There's so many additives and preservatives, things to protect food during the supply chain and on the shelves of supermarkets. So much stuff is done to food, which adversely affects our health. It clogs our channels. We would not be gaining weight and having inflammation and headaches and brain fog and joint aches and gut issues so regularly if we were not having this ama in the body, this toxicity in the body, right? We would all be healthy. Nearly 80% of the world's population has at least one disease. So that's
Sad.
that's where we're at. So how can we say that we are healthy? If we had probably looked at the world 1,000 years ago, maybe majority would be healthy. Like we can't look at like a population of sparrows and say 80% of sparrows are unhealthy. They are all healthy. Maybe 20% of them are not healthy, right?
Yikes. Yeah,
But we humans have normalized poor health. We've normalized being in a bad mood, dragging our bodies to work and just coming back and just getting through our day somehow.
totally. We definitely have normalized high stress, high toxic ways of life. I think that'll be a wake up call to many. But do you think things like intermittent fasting or maybe like a 24-hour fast once a week is good enough to cleanse? Or do you think we still have to do the deeper cleanses every 3 months if you are doing these routinely
Hmm.
fasts?
Yes, yes. Uh, Cleansing or fasting weekly, monthly is a way to maintain health and longevity. Just like we have a car, I'm not going to clean my car once a year if I'm driving every day. If I drive every day, I've got to clean my car every week and then do a thorough clean every month. So, with our equipments, with our homes, places where we get a lot of use out of, we do that. But for our body, we don't think of fasting, going to the sauna, doing exercise as the maintenance of making sure this machine lasts a long time to its fullest potential.
Hmm.
All we do is eat, and work, and don't get enough sleep, and we don't do our cleansing practices. We don't do fasting. So if we have a propensity to gain weight, absolutely fasting is important. Ayurveda is about treating the body lovingly, taking care of the body well. So it's just like we would treat an expensive piece of machinery, right? If I
Hmm.
had a really expensive car, I'm not going to go like drive it till like destroy it, right? I'm not
Right.
going to do that to it. Yeah, I'm going to
Right.
treat it carefully. Similarly, so is
Sure.
our body.
Makes sense. I think the car analogy really helps because, of course, we use our bodies every day. And just because, we clean it a little bit, like on
Mhm.
surface level every day, doesn't mean we shouldn't do a deep clean every now and then.
Right.
So, yeah, makes sense. So, just to recap, so far, what we have is balanced kapha in the
Hmm.
body, decreased stress, which means even micro forms of stress, like people who might be stressing you out on a mental level,
Yeah.
calming the mind and the nervous system through yoga, meditation, loving your body, routinely cleanses,
Hmm.
and trying to bring some sacredness back into the act of being with your spouse into the bedroom.
Yeah, totally. That'll be a great start. And
Okay.
if even if we could, do an Ekadashi fast once every 15 days, that would be a good start where, we
Mm.
are taking care of our body because the body gets more nourished when we are doing those time restricted fastings. The
Mhm.
Agni gets better. The Agni is what we're trying to balance. So,
Mhm.
not just our digestive fire, but our metabolic fire. And how do we know we have good metabolic fire? When we see the face, we see glow on the face, we know the metabolic fire is good. And OJAS is the ultimate quality of fertility. When everything is in balance, that's when we have OJAS. But OJAS is the expression of Kapha.
Oh,
Like Vata, when Vata is balanced, we have prana, we have vitality, we
okay.
have that life force, we are lively.
Okay.
When Pitta, the quality of metabolism, is balanced, then we have Tejas, which is magnetism. We become a charming, attractive personality.
I see.
And when our Kapha energies are balanced, we have Ojas, which is the expression of fertility and health. So I like to call it juicy, glowy, vital body.
Perfect. Okay. Um, so I think that has been a great conversation. I feel we can go so much deeper into so many things, but we only have so much time. So, knowing that this is more common than you think, and knowing that there are things that you can do to take accountability for your health and your energy levels and your ojas, I think puts the power back into our hands a little bit. And no need to be hopeless. So that was my
Yes.
mission for this. Thank you so much for all your insights and for being a part of
Yes.
this convo.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure, Manisha. I wish you the best
Thank you,
with your
Salila.
podcast.
Where can people find you if they want more?
My Instagram is a great place to connect with me, salila.ayurveda. Also, my website, it's called Ayurgamaya. So if anybody wanted to reach out to me there, they absolutely can.
Perfect. Thank you so much.